welcome back to Press Turn, a video game podcast. I will try to keep this high energy. I got some cold tea with me.
Keep it IRL.
Yeah, it's cold weather, cold drinks, cold everything. I'm gonna get ice immediately transplanted into my veins. Um, Man, that was terrible. Anyway, uh, we're gonna try to get through stuff we've been up to because this is gonna be one of those episodes where we just talk about one particular thing, or I guess one of us will be talking about one particular thing. So
Wonder what it could be.
I wonder what it could be. Surely it couldn't be one of the most highly anticipated games. Uh,
That met the hype.
yeah. Uh, uh, I guess it certainly did. It certainly opened back up the discussion of why do we have difficulty in video games, as in why do we have challenges in anything in life. I wanted to play video games to escape difficulty. Please help me. Anyway, uh, speaking of difficulty,
Excellent segue.
yes, Jonathan, talk to me about the real game difficulty that is your life.
Okay.
Tell me how your permadeath run is going.
My permadeath running. Not so good. I've been stricken with high blood pressure.
Oh no.
Um, did I talk about beating Neo World Ends with You last time? Got a really bad memory.
Uh, if you did, I forget.
Oh, cool. Well,
You talk about it
I
again. Why not? Let's.
I beat The World Ends with You Neo, and it was amazing.
Okay.
It's certainly, I don't know in regards to if it met with the same hype that I had. No, no, it couldn't have, because the ending and the first game were just amazing for me.
Hmm.
Little J Flow actually playing a game that had story and a relatable character, super relatable character, was just too much at the time for me to comprehend. But I will say the challenges for the post game collection and grinding have been just as great, if not better. Like, uh, it's been a while since I've played a game that I really wanted to collect everything, especially with a roster of things to get, like threads and food and pins, that have me scouring every best pin in the entire game article that I can find on Google. So, been having some fun with that. Actually, I've got it right here just in case I get bored. Um,
Wow. I appreciate the support. It's fine.
no,
I
it has nothing to do with
as
the
long as you're
quality of
not
our
fully
podcast.
distracted, then it's fine. I don't really care.
Huh? No, it has nothing to do with the quality of our podcast, but
Jonathan
the
Floyd, we're
willingness
gonna
to.
have to take the switch away.
Yeah, don't make me take it away, sir. Um, let's see. Um, Finished completing the Pokédex for Pokemon Arceus,
Oh wow.
which was really
Okay.
fun.
I didn't
I
even
don't
think
know.
about doing that honestly, but certainly doesn't seem difficult to do.
Yeah, it's not. It's just time consuming.
Mm.
I mean,
In
apart
a
from
in a
like
good
the
way, or
honestly, yeah. What were the hardest things? So there's like these Hisuian variants to these like Pokemon. I don't know if I think they've been in the series before, but like there's Thundurus and Landorus and a couple others. They're kind of like, I thought they were weather based until then the last one, Enamorus, uh, came into the picture. But
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
they were hard because they truly put the uh, the challenge of the open world to the test. Um, one of them was in the Scarlet. One of them was in the Scarlet Bog of the Crimson Mirelands. So you had to catch them, and then you had to throw mine mud balls or sticky webs at them to get their shield down, and you have to do it like
Oh, okay.
3 times. And while you're chasing them, they're throwing tornadoes at you, which spawned in random but definitely in the way locations. Yeah, I died multiple times on like the last one.
Oh, wow. So,
So those and a lot of the guides I read suggested taking out the Pokemon in the area, to
uh-huh.
which I was like, no, I won't do that. I ended up doing it. I had no idea how fast a Gyarados can swim and attack you until I said, "No, you're not a threat." They said, "Oh, hold my Hyper Beam." Um, but after those, I think those were my last challenges. The others were it was the ones trying to find in the distortions and waiting for those to show up because there's no trigger to activate them, and there's
Oh,
no way to save state them.
are there
You just
legendaries in distortions as well?
no legendaries, but just random rare Pokemon like the crit Crenadios or the Shieldon.
Oh, okay, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And some evolutions you can skip trying to evolve them. You can just find them in a specific distortion in one of the areas.
Yeah. I
Um
think aside from aside from the 3 initial evolutions that I just evolved on my own, since I had the stones and I had, like, a good number of EVs, the rest of
mhm,
them I just caught distortions.
yeah.
I was hoping to use Umbreon, but, it kinda just turned out, like, Umbreon just wasn't really helpful in my team composition,
Mm.
although maybe I should've, because I had a lot of special tanks, but no physical tanks, and I was getting hit a lot. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if I ever found a physical tank that just ended up working out.
yeah.
I don't know. I did ended up uh using the grits, like the pebbles and the stones, to increase those small parameters,
Yeah,
which really
I will
helped out a lot.
say, I feel like the grit items definitely become more important, especially after I guess the initial part of the game, or rather, I guess the post game. I guess it's post game, because it happens after. I'm mainly talking about the stuff that happens after the credits.
Yeah.
Because last time I played it, I didn't do a whole lot, so I ended up just going through the rest of the main missions. And like the fight that happens where you basically have to fight 3 times in a row definitely caught
Okay.
me off guard.
So we're talking about the same one Pokemon, right?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but like I haven't caught any other legendaries aside from Shaman and Manaphy, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't really tried any of the tougher one. Like I don't even know about the ones you were talking about. So
That mysterious lady in the black dress that lives all alone, I think starts it, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. Oh
I don't know.
well, yeah. Sorry. Besides those ones,
Yeah. Uh I'm blanking on what the other legendaries were. Oh, yeah, the other ones. Like I don't know. I'm kind of worried about spoiler territory, so I'm trying not to say anything.
I mean I think in terms of legendaries, it's kind of it doesn't really matter because I mean it's all the same legendaries that got introduced in the
Fair
original
enough. Fair
entry.
enough.
So
Well, Regigigas is definitely in the game.
yeah.
Uh oh, and my favorite, Cresselia. Is that how you say it?
Uh
It's a moon
oh
great
yeah.
moon Pokemon.
I
Moon
I think
Moon.
that's how you say it. Maybe I should
Yeah.
look it up.
She is awesome. Like with her own healing ability, it is. She is so cool.
Yeah, her or her. It's oh no, wait. Yeah, 100% female. Okay, never mind. Her
Cresselia.
her initial moveset is ridiculously good. Also, it was very annoying to try to catch her. Um just what was it? Yeah, because Lunar Dance uh in in this game it makes her it gives her evasion, I think.
Hmm.
I think that's the one. Wait, hang on. Okay. Let me make sure.
Why are you
uh,
making sure? Yeah, there was also Darkrai, and those guys. I would say they were fun to catch. But other than that,
mhm.
the Hisuian forms of the Pokemon that you use as like the spirit guides for like running around in with the environment, like the Wordeer and the Sneasel and the Braviary, getting those took a little more time than the others because they had special conditions.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I was hoping Braviary wasn't just a hang glider. And it still kind of was, but not
Yeah.
um but it was just kind of weird. Like you could stay at a certain elevation if you just glided slowly, but
Oops. Yeah.
if you speed it up, it descends faster. Which was kind of weird. I wasn't sure why that was done, but
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. Courtney did. Courtney was like, "It's a bird. Let it fly."
I I'm kind of inclined to agree. I didn't really understand why.
Not sure either, but eh, it's still great. Then oh gosh, walking.
For sure, for sure.
Anything's greater than walking.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, like we've talked about it before, but um, I like even then, like I still really like this change to the formula. I think. I mean, honestly, I feel like in terms of in terms of applying the very broad open world format that Breath of the Wild popularized when after it came out. I think this is one of the franchises it's better applied for. Um, like I don't necessarily see it, or rather, I don't necessarily want it to be continued to be done for the Zelda series, but
Mhm.
I think for the Pokemon series, it definitely makes a lot more sense. Just
Yeah,
kind of seeing like there's still some issues with it that's kind of like um I don't know, maybe it has to do with like how it applies with the current formula. But there is some stuff that needs to be tweaked here and there, but I would like to see that continued as it's moving forward, which is very unfortunate considering that already Scarlet and Violet was announced, and it kind of seems like they're adding some bits of it, but not everything. Uh,
yeah.
Apparently,
We'll have
random
to see
battles
about
are
that too.
being added back in. Um, which I'm kind of like, oh, so I can't just catch Pokemon again normally, like or normally, like in Arceus.
Like Arceusly,
Yeah,
Hisuianly.
I can't be vigilante with my Pokeballs anymore. I have to
Uh,
do the same old
yeah, I
song.
know.
Like it
At least, well, I hope if they bring back random battles, they'll keep it. quick and streamlined like Arceus.
I don't know because when I looked at that trailer that they showed off, I saw something that looked kind of like the traditional uh encounter turn-based battle, which I
Hmm.
was like, I don't know. But then again, I think Game Freak did mention before that they were working on this in tandem with Arceus, and Arceus was just kind of like was just supposed to be like a test of new features that maybe they would add later on. So
We'll
who
see.
knows really? I know Arceus did sell pretty well, so I don't see a reason why they wouldn't continue forward with the formula. At least maybe part of its own separate thing. Or rather, that's my wish for it.
Yeah,
I definitely see a possibility of them continuing a spin-off series where they just do this again. Like,
totally.
I mean, mm, I don't know. Has it been long? I guess not. I guess not because like whenever they do these remakes, it's always kind of like a certain generation. So yeah, I guess the next spin-off would be more geared towards black and white, I suppose. We'll have to see. I don't know. I personally I do just kind of like the whole mythos behind gold and silver with like Oo and Lugia. Um
Hmm.
and like I mean they weren't necessarily intertwined. They were just very interesting in design. And where you found them. Like Oo is just found in Ekritique City, which was always very interesting to me. And then Lugia was just like off in some very distant cave island. But I don't know, we'll see.
I told, I may have told this on the last podcast we were geeking out about it, but uh, if we could have one where the ending was us in the old mansion about to create Mewtwo, that would be great.
Wait, like how you mean?
Um, well, you keep it RC style, but keep like I don't know, let the ending of the game be the scientific research to make the first man-made Pokemon.
Oh,
Let that be the
okay.
storyline.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it it
You
it
know,
it
just
definitely also seems like that Pokemon Company is definitely fine with milking that part of its history a whole
yeah,
tons. I mean, that movie got that movie got a remake twice, basically. Like a different version of the movie, and then a 3D version of the movie,
yeah.
which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that would be kind of cool. Although that might be kind of funky, and it might in well, in terms of what I would want it to be, it would be too conflicting. I think in terms of what Pokemon is. Um, like I would want it to be kind of like a well, what if you could like genetically mutate certain Pokemon like within the laboratory. That you know what that I think that's too morally gray to even mess around with, and probably not the image that they want to send either. So never mind. I kind of answered my own question with.
Well, maybe they can. They do like exploring those darker concepts in the manga, so maybe they can do shoot for something there.
I don't know, man, because like Pokemon Adventures manga is so cool, but the stuff that they the stuff that happens in that manga, it's like there is no way they would ever depict that
Never.
in an anime or a video game.
And I'm perfectly fine
Like
with them sticking to the manga.
the worst we got was like Pokemon Coliseum, I think, with the dark Pokemon. Like that's
Yeah,
basically pretty much it.
yeah, you're right.
It's it's too risky, I suppose. Whereas I would say it's probably not risky enough with how they've been going.
Well, that's
Uh,
true. I mean, they've gotten pretty risky now. I mean, the to me, Pokemon attacking you outright is a little darker than dark Pokemon.
that's true.
But that's just my opinion.
Seeing the ancient the ancient predecessor of a Pokemon professor just going straight up, Pokemon are dangerous creatures to you is it definitely shook me to where I was like, oh geez, okay. But yeah, we'll have to see. Um
We'll have to see.
Again, I'll be cautiously optimistic about Scarlet and Violet. I mean the locale looks pretty cool, which I'm fine with. Uh I like that the fire starter is just it just looks like a distant relative of the Apple Pokemon, which I
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Doesn't really make sense in my mind, but then again, I think it's fine either way. Uh, anyway, we've been talking too much about Pokemon. We gotta get going. Uh,
No problem.
was there
I'll.
anything
Uh,
else?
I've just got a couple more things.
Okay.
I watched the Cuphead series on Netflix and uh, watched it like a couple times through, um, and it was good. I'm glad they're getting a second season.
Hmm.
It's just a good old classic cartoon. At first I didn't feel like it was like deep enough, and they were like trying to like they had the appearance of funny, but they're no, like a second time through, I was like, okay, yeah, no, these are genuine chuckles I'm giving them, so it was
Okay.
funny. Um, and lastly, I currently played Borderlands 2, and then I said, no, I'm done, and I abandoned it.
Fair enough. I definitely don't blame you. The dialogue in that game has definitely not aged well.
No, and I don't know if that's just like a thing at the time. It was really cool to be edgy and stupid at the same time,
Well, the thing
or
is, like, Borderlands has always been like that, but the problem is like the first Borderlands wasn't really like that. It was just like here and there, but it was mostly kept pretty low. And then in Borderlands 2, I guess it was just like uh fan fans of the first game liked the more meme jokes, I guess. So they just turned that up to 11. And I mean it kind of worked because like I mean, they just kept doing it.
that's true.
Even though
Yeah,
I
for
would
me,
say it's like, yeah, it definitely could have been downplayed.
hmm,
I feel like some of the writing definitely got weaker overall. I mean, I know people don't like it as much as the mainline series, but I still I still maintain that Borderlands: The Pre-Sequel had the most interesting ideas and a lot more solid writing going on.
hmm,
Uh, and I will say, I think putting aside Borderlands 2's main story, the performance by Handsome Jack is by far one of the best performances I've ever seen. Or I guess rather heard. Um,
hmm,
like the voice actor does an astounding job of establishing Handsome Jack's character. Um, like absolutely despicable man, but at the same time he has some lines that are just like uh just absolutely memorable, I will say. Like, I don't know if you caught all of them, but the side quest at the very beginning of the game where you get echo logs,
Yeah.
like that that whole side quest is just completely optional, but I think is like the best establishment of Handsome Jax's character ever. Of just like of just like this is who Handsome Jack is, and how he talks, how he speaks, how he handles situations and stuff like that. You get pretty much everything from just that one side quest, like right away too, and it
I'll agree with that. I remember
it's
that.
it's excellent. And
Yeah, it was weird. I can remember like the whole time, like whenever he was on there, I was like at ease while I was playing.
mhm,
Uh yeah, like
yeah,
for real.
like
I
you
did
hate
like that he
him,
was
but you want to hear him keep talking at the same time.
precisely. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Um yeah, I think it was just the gameplay for me that was bad.
Mm,
Like
uh,
the
who did you
y
start with, if you don't mind me asking?
I started I don't know his name, Axel, I think his name was.
Oh, the
Uh
commando,
yeah,
Axton. Then,
accent. Yeah, I didn't know there was really a difference to the characters.
um,
They have like each a special ability or something.
in well, I would say in two, it's definitely a lot more. It it's definitely a lot more unique. I mean, the problem is, the quote unquote commando versions of all the classes you can pick in every game are somewhat lackluster in comparison to the more unique looking skills of the other characters. Although I would say pre-sequel and 3 have a lot more interesting things going on, and I feel like at least gameplay wise, they've definitely gotten a lot better at designing the characters' skill trees over time. 2, it was still kind of weird because like Commando was probably the more straightforward. Like if you just like FPSs and you don't want to mess with anything fancy, that's the class you go with.
Hmm.
But then like the Siren is always very interesting. They have like different applications and stuff like that. Um Gunzerker, you would think it would just be pure DPS, but then it's like no, it's actually got some very funky tank builds that you can go with.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
and then
So
the
that wasn't just like skin the options at the beginning.
oh
Those
no,
were
yeah,
classes.
yeah, they're all different classes.
Okay, see, I knew I was doing something wrong. I got to go back and like and take a look at the games again.
Okay, okay. Although I will
Yeah.
say, I think probably the most popular class in two was definitely a Necromancer, which was DLC. Got added later on. But it's mainly just because like Necromancer has some of the craziest builds ever, and it's mostly surrounding her Anarchy skill, which is basically just increased DPS, but your accuracy goes down. But then it's like there are weapons in the game that have very unique shots, so accuracy doesn't really matter in that degree. So like
Yeah, that's true.
if you get like a rocket shotgun, you don't really have to worry about accuracy with that because it's just a buckshot.
Right.
So yeah, so
Right.
it's like things like that where like the more creative the skill trees are, the more freedom you have to like experiment with certain stuff. And the DLC classes definitely prove with that. Like, I think out of all of them, my favorite skill tree, my favorite class rather, is still Krieg the Psycho from Borderlands 2, and he was the last DLC class that was released. But it's just so much fun, and it's probably like one of the most appropriate Borderlands flavored class characters to play as because he literally is a psycho. Um, so like but it's not just like, all the bandit quotes like strip the flesh, salt the wound and stuff like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
also stuff just like in his intro trailer, he's shouting stuff like I'm the conductor of the poop train. And it's like you kind of have to understand the warped logic around that statement and just because it's not just nonsense. There is actually some type of there is some type of understanding of what he's trying to say with that statement,
Mm-hmm.
but also he lapses into just psychotic bursts of complete nonsense at the same time. So it's just like sometimes he's in control and sometimes he's not when he's speaking. Uh,
Oh, interesting.
so
Hmm.
like lore wise, he's a very interesting character, which unfortunately they kind of flub it a bit by going too much into detail with it in one of the DLC campaigns in 3, uh, which was kind of unfortunate because like he was more interesting as he was in Borderlands 2, but then as they tried to develop him a little bit more, it started to like that interest started to die down a bit, um, which is really unfortunate because he's like one of my favorite characters in that series.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, I mean like even for me, like my interest in those games have definitely died down quite a bit. Even after completing pre-sequel and 3. So
Hmm. Well, I'm all done. So yeah, just continue with your train of thought there.
yeah, it's just really unfortunate is all I'll say. Because I feel like Gearbox does actually do a really good job with their gameplay. I just feel like they genuinely they just need better writers, honestly. Or I don't know, like maybe just tone down the humor or something like that. If they could strike that same balance, like they did with the pre-sequel, I would say, and some of the DLC campaigns of 2, I would say, then it would probably be better. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what was it? You know what? In Borderlands 1, the DLC campaigns, 2 of them definitely stand out in terms of dialogue and actual storytelling without doing too much. Which was Nox's Armory and Claptrap Revolution, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where it's like Claptrap Revolution was kind of like a full fledged story, but also send off for the first game, but also setting up things for Borderlands 2. But was actually like a genuinely interesting sort of it added some complexity to what was essentially a joke character for Borderlands 1.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, interesting story, characters, like, enemy design was somewhat interesting too, kind of like making more dangerous enemies for enemies that are traditionally weak to electric damage, so that was still pretty good too, and Nox's Armory just kind of straight up being, like, a fantastic narrative, um delivered only through dialogue pretty much. Like there were no cutscenes for the majority of the DLC campaigns of Borderlands 1.
Mm-hmm.
But Nox's Armory probably had like some of the best dialogue written that like explained General Knox, who was just kind of a no nonsense, bored out of his mind type of guy who just has been like jaded with the Atlas Corporation, who just constantly just like buys up planets and drains them dry of their materials and then just moves on to the next one and stuff like that. Really selling like that initial imagery that people were sold on when Borderlands was first announced and stuff like that. And also the the, the cherry on top was at the end of that final fight in that campaign was a respawnable loot race where it was just like here is one giant room full of loot chests and you have 3 minutes to just clear it out as fast as possible, and it's just big, and it's also just like it was like one of the best ways to try to find legendary drops as well, so people were just constantly just running that fight over and over again and just trying to get as much loot as possible.
That's
Very
awesome.
like straight up like one of the best campaigns designed for that game at that time. I can't even think of a DLC campaign that has topped it since, honestly. But yeah, I think that's about it. Anyway, onto my week. I'm gonna try not to talk too much about it, because unfortunately it's been a while, and Steam had another Next Fest. So
I'm
uh,
glad I missed it. Good lord,
yeah,
love their next
there were
fest.
a lot. I'll just list like a few. Um, uh, because like, I mean, I also tried multiverses. Thanks to LJ who graciously gave me an invite code. That was given to him. Unfortunately, I can't really talk about multiverses as in accordance to their technical test. So all I say is all I'll say is it was interesting. And it was fun, and playing as Tom and Jerry was great. That's all I'll say about that.
Cool.
Uh, in terms of demos, I played a lot of demos, but I guess the ones I will focus on are the more popular ones that people might be aware of. So it looks like the most popular one of the most popular demos that people played during the Next Fest was the one for Soldiers, spelled with Soul, and it's basically like uh, a roguelike game with some platforming, some puzzles, and a quote unquote Metroidvania exploration design too. Um, didn't really get too far into it. I like the art style and the animation for the most part. Gameplay was all right. Just kind of seems solid all around. Um, but don't really have much to say about that, unfortunately. Uh, oh, and then Neon White, which is the next game being by oh shoot, hang on. Wait. I want to make sure I got the right developer because it lists
Oh yeah. Oh, Neon White. Yeah,
yeah.
the Angel card game.
Yeah. So it's not actually a card game. Like not really.
Right.
It's a it's a speed running game.
Like
Like
what?
a parkour game, like a parkour type of game. Like
What was that
think
one that everyone was playing? That wasn't Blade Runner.
it's kind of like Blade Runner, but you're but it's more doing time trials rather than actual combat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like part speedrunning, part uh social sim. Like there are some characters that you get to talk to, and you get to learn more about them and stuff. And I guess it has an effect on the story as you progress through it. I don't know it, but like it's a fun time trials game for me personally. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, not a card game, surprisingly. Probably the biggest surprise out of anything, honestly. Um, and I guess not necessarily popular, but it does belong in a niche fan base. I tried out the demo for Turbo Overkill, being published by Apogee Entertainment, back from the dead, I guess. After, well, I don't know. I guess it was more like they were kind of in the background, but haven't really done anything that really screamed like a lot of the stuff that they were better known for back in the day. Um, and Turbo Overkill is parts parts Blade Runner, but more geared towards wait, what's the game I'm thinking of? It's the other game by New Blood. Uh Ultra Kill, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of seems based off of Ultra Kill, but it's more like a boomer shooter, like Quake and Doom, like those types of games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have a lot of movement, like it's kind of crazy fast. So I guess more Quake than anything. Um, you have a you have like a slide, and it lets you go faster, and the slide is apparently like very important to combat because
Oh.
this you have a robot leg that's a chainsaw, and when you slide, it does like extra melee damage to enemies, or rather, it's the only melee attack you have. So you pretty much have to do that. Uh,
Hey, look at all this wall running and stuff.
yeah, I didn't really
Gotcha.
experience any wall running when I was going through the demo, but I didn't really finish it either. So um,
There's someone on Steam right now live in it. So
yeah, Apogee intern and playtester. Hey, good job, Ethan. Earned that paycheck.
yeah, play hard, work
Yeah.
hard.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. I don't personally have a lot of experience with FPSs, even like the older ones. Although I guess I am more inclined to sort of like this new wave of old school FPS games, like
Mm-hmm.
Dusk, a Medieval. I guess the new Doom games count in that category somewhat as well. This game was fun. I feel like the guns aren't as punchy as I was hoping they would be. Like they don't seem to do nearly as much damage as I thought they would. Although
Hmm.
it could be because I picked a harder difficulty. So it could be that as well.
Do they
Uh,
have different difficulties, or are you just guessing?
they do have different difficulties. I definitely remember that. I think it was like I don't remember how many there were actually, but I know it was like easy, normal, hard, and then like the fifth. There was always like an extra harder difficulty. Um, kind of like with
Doom.
yeah, like with Doom. There's like the default difficulty everyone should pick is ultraviolence. Uh,
No, thank you. I'm just a baby.
Well, I mean, here I thought, like, being older, just being like, man, I don't know how much longer I can handle like these trigger reactive games. But then, like, playing Doom 2016, playing as much of Doom Eternal that I did on ultraviolence, and how incredibly hard that game is. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I guess you can still do it if you just keep playing it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. What else? Uh, oh yeah. I did start watching another anime, Ranking of Kings.
Oh,
Very fun
nice.
show. What
Yes.
goes a lot harder than I was expecting. Considering the
Yeah.
art style, really surprising, but I very much enjoy it. I like that it's a more mature fantasy story. Um, about with a more about a more unique character. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was just gonna be one of those feel good types of drama shows, and it's like part that, but also part uh fantasy political, uh kind of, but also like cultish, like conspiracy happening as well. Like it legit feels like a full story, is what I'm saying. Which was
Yeah.
definitely a welcome surprise. Also, oh shoot, I forget her name, but the current queen, best mother-in-law, uh, of 2022, I would say.
Yeah. I didn't think so at first, but
Yeah,
yeah, I came around to her.
yeah, that's the other thing too. Like there are a lot of characters. I was just thinking like, oh, this person, I've got them figured out. I know what exactly how they're gonna be, and then it's always just like, nope, here's something else that happens, and I'm just like, oh.
Like, oh,
But at that point, I was just like, okay, I'm having fun now, so I'm just gonna stop guessing and just enjoy the ride.
yeah.
Uh, which is great because I like it I'm not when I'm not thinking about how the show's gonna go, and it's just more like I'm just having fun with the show.
Agreed.
What else?
And I
Oh,
I think that's a healthy thing for critics to do.
yeah. It's definitely a better sign of when the thing you're enjoying uh makes you forget to do your job rather than like uh or rather like makes you for like causes you to not think about other stuff that's going on either within the media or just other stuff in your life that's just like, oh yeah, I gotta do this, and you're just invested into the show itself. um
Nice.
and then also uh very happy to see that the adaptation for My Dress Up Darling has been going very well. I was keeping up with the manga uh, up to this point, so imagine my genuine glee to see it getting adapted. Um, I will
That's
say, oh yeah,
that's the one about the guy helping the girl make the cosplay costume.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Sorry, Courtney's following that one.
oh okay, yeah, yeah. It's genuinely a good story. I will say, uh, if you're watching the first few episodes, you're probably thinking, oh, it's gonna go one certain way. Uh, they definitely stopped doing that. Uh, like pretty quickly. Thankfully. Although, man, whoever was in charge of animating that one particular scene in episode 2, I think, was just having a the time of their lives, because oh my goodness, I have never seen that many frames on the human on a part of the human anatomy, animated so much. Uh, they were just having the time of their life. So
They
yeah,
guess
I
they had
guess
an
like
extra day to work on that.
I think they did. I think they just said like, "Hey, I'm gonna work overtime. Don't ask me why."
Yeah,
But,
forget about it. Just shut up.
and then the editor is just like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna put in extra work? Yeah, great, cool." And they didn't even bother asking.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I was gonna say over your. Oh man, thank you so much.
yeah,
We'll see you Monday.
yeah. I mean, COVID's been hard on everybody, so again, probably got to get that aggression out somehow. But yeah. I mean, like aside from that, I feel like um, Dress Up Darling is one of those few shows that actually explore kind of what it's actually like to be so be someone who's kind of into something that um like on the surface you would think isn't nearly as accepted, but it's also kind of like, hey, times have changed, and stuff that um you thought wasn't normally accepted is now more accepted because it's kind of more common now and talked about. Um, and like the fact that it's like, if you're willing to be honest about what you're into, there are people out there who will willingly accept you for it, which I think is really
Okay.
great. Um, like, like they're kind of teasing it in the in the opening, but I really hope they get to a future arc where it's kind of like the main male character, Gojo. Uh oh, well, that would be a spoiler actually, but basically just like facing another challenge of just like opening up the circle of people he talks to becomes more important in that arc. And it's definitely like a really good development, or rather a changing point in that dynamic, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I guess like those are my two American recommendations from the previous season. I haven't really gotten to everything. There's only so much time in the day, so um, but yeah, I will say I think it's like, especially with right now with like me trying to get counseling going, which I'm still trying to get set up. If anyone was curious about that, it's going. I just got to set up the first appointment right now, so um, I will update when that actually happens because things are going slow right now. But that's about it. But yeah, having a show like um my cosplay darling, or my dress up darling, um is definitely good during this time because it's definitely a good reminder of just like having a willingness to be more honest with yourself and with more other people, regardless of like how they think about it. Like I'm sure, whether they were male or female, we all could have used a friend like oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the girl's name. Why am I talking about this show that I say I like and then I just can't remember anyone's names? Um, but
I believe that's love.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, what's her name?
yeah, like
Classic.
I'll never forget you.
I'll
Oh,
never forget you.
you,
You.
uh, Marin, that's it. Yeah, we all could have used a friend like Marin back in the day. Uh, anyway, that's about it. Because the other thing I did over the weekend was, or over the past couple weekends, was play a lot of Elden Ring, or as much of it as I could, without
Well,
just losing it. So
there it
anyway,
is.
this is the end of the podcast. It is now just an Elden Ring gushing
Yep.
session.
Goodbye,
So
everybody.
yeah, if you don't want to hear anything about Elden Ring that might get spoiled, just close out now. Uh, that's pretty much it. So yeah, Elden Ring. What do you know about Elden Ring besides it apparently being an anime game?
For those that don't know, I I watched a TikTok about the flash step being introduced in the game, and my thought was, "Wow, this game is so weeb." And then I decided to unleash my troll and tell all my friends, "Elden Ring is an anime game. Don't at me." And I made some people upset.
I I'll be honest, I was just kind of more curious and just going like, what does he mean? Because when you first said that, you didn't add the context of the TikTok
Correct.
to that. So then after watching the TikTok, I was like, okay, okay, it makes a little more sense now for sure.
I'm very famous for doing that, by the way. No
Misleading
context.
people. No, no,
Let's go.
wait. What
Figure
what
out
what is
figure out
that?
my train of thought.
What is that? Say something controversial. Uh, de- detail nothing else. Leave. I think it
Mhm.
is. Uh,
I just get so excited.
yeah.
I'm already on point C, and everyone's like, "Wait, what?"
How did we get here? You didn't
And
say
that's why
anything.
magic
Uh,
that's why magic shoelaces don't make fishing pole strings. See you later.
uh, and I mean, yeah, I mean, like, it being a Japanese game, I would say that is still somewhat accurate. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you got the great sword, literally detailed after Guts's great sword, from Berserk.
Yep.
Um,
You got a
just a big
uh
hunk of iron, which I think is part of the iron description. So
yeah. And I mean, I guess that's pretty standard for Soulsborne games.
yeah,
But
I mean, like, I, I'm I I'm pretty sure, like, in every game, there's always at least a few spells that looks like it just looks like something straight out of anime. I mean, like, the long-standing staple of the Moonlight Greatsword, I believe, is in every Souls game. Um, and it's just a sword that shoots beams. Uh, like it's like if that's not anime inspired, that's definitely Zelda inspired because it's just the Master Sword.
yep.
Except you don't have to be at full health to fire off a beam. Thankfully. Uh,
Oh, well, that's good. Great.
yeah, because you're gonna be
Gee.
taking a lot of hits. So
Yeah.
Elden Ring, if you thought it stopped being a Souls game, you're wrong. Dead wrong, in fact.
Very wrong.
Um, it's definitely hard. I mean, I've definitely been seeing people kind of bashing their head against the wall against Margit. I mean, definitely took me a few tries before kind of just going like, you know what? I need every advantage I get. What do we got? Okay, this great sword that I've had the most luck with. Cool, let's boost that up. What else we got? Razier as a Razier as a summon? Yeah, sure. Get that sorcerer in here. Let him distract the guy. What else do we got? A summon? What do I have here? Wolves? Okay, that could be something. Oh, what's this? A trio of magic using knights? Yeah, sure. Let's use that instead. Throw that throw those guys at him. Why not? Just anything to make uh the boss fight as easy as possible, or less hard, I guess. Uh because a quote that's been flowing around in regards to Elden Ring and kind of has been for every Souls game. A win is a win is a win. Uh, like not worrying about whether you did it legitimately or not. Um, like just using whatever advantage you can to get past that next hurdle, right? So, and I mean, even then, like even some of the most broken stuff doesn't mean that you're safe from every enemy. Like over this weekend, I found a sword called the Sword of Night and Flame, and uh the sword has been hailed recently as probably one of the most broken weapons in the game, and I'm inclined to believe that. It does require a good amount of intelligence and faith to use. It requires um 24 intelligence and 24 faith. Uh, and it does require some upgrades to do like a significant amount of damage. A video I followed for it, had the guy boost it up to +6, and this one requires somber smithing stones, which are generally harder to find uh, compared to the regular smithing stones. But once you have it, congratulations! You just get a weapon that has a good, a pretty good flame damage AOE attack, and then just a stupid uh laser beam attack. And um I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a giant laser beam that you fire off in front of you. It's great. Especially when you get like a point blank attack off. Okay, let me back up for a second. So, uh, the Sword of Night and Flame essentially has two magic attacks you can do. Um, and this can be done by pressing the left trigger, which basically is the stance you take, and then um, it differs between the right bumper and the right trigger. So the right trigger does the flame damage AoE, which basically you just do a wide swing, and then it creates this big flame attack right in front of you, and it's just like one big cone right in front of you. Uh, it covers a good amount of distance too, and it does some pretty good damage. And then R1 does the laser beam. It's more focused, but it does like multiple hits at a time. And testing it out for myself, I've seen it. It's straight up um trivialized a lot of boss fights for me so far. Like I've managed to knock out basically like six other bosses with it,
Oh
just
wow.
trying it out. Like I wasn't even practicing. I was just like, let's just see how this does. And then
Stop dying. Hold still.
just dead. Like like it um I still had to like position myself and make sure I wasn't like about to get killed. But still just like yeah, swing, fire, and just done. It's a great weapon, and it makes me feel super strong. Unfortunately, I don't have enough intelligence to use it properly. Um, I have to use I have to use a passive which increases my stats, but it requires consumables to um activate that stat. Oh, hang
Mhm.
on one second. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, what was I saying? Yeah. Yeah. This sword. Um. So while this weapon has trivialized a lot of fights for me, it still doesn't mean that you're safe from everything. Like, still gotta play the game. It does still require you to play the game, or at least it does for me. I have uh I have notably tried to play Dark Souls 1 like 5 or 6 times in a row and at a time, and could never just get past like any significant point or make enough progress to kind of like see it through. Um I've only played Bloodborne for a while, and kind of just fell off of it. I think it was just because of other games that came out, really. But yeah, Elden Ring is the only game so far I've managed to like stay with for a significant amount of time, and I guess like um, I think this one, because it's open world, I've been able to stick with it longer, just because like, well, if I'm having trouble here, then I could just go and go somewhere else and just try some other place and be like, hey, maybe there's something over here that'll kill me less. I'll just
Yeah,
check over here instead. Which I
yeah,
think
that's
is
the thing.
which I think is why Elden Ring has become a lot easier for a lot of people to pick up. Um, and I mean, like, because I mean, other than that, like, all the staples are there, like some tough exploration, some tough challenges, um, enemies who you have to observe and watch and see, like, oh, and see how they maneuver and how they attack. Like there are some enemies where it's like, yeah, these enemies technically aren't hard, but depending on the situation, it can become a challenge. So it's just like you do kind of have to be engaged with the game at all times, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be like mentally exhausted in every session. It's just that like it does require some forethought. But as you get deeper into the game, some of those encounters will become less stressful for you, and you'll just know like, okay, like here's some dogs, they're gonna be more aggressive, and there's a guy in the back over there, he's gonna shoot some spells. So I gotta do this, this, and this. And then it's just deciding which of those enemies you're gonna prioritize. It like, to be honest, it's practically like any other game. Uh it's just that like this one, or rather this series in particular, the design is a lot more intentional, whereas I feel like with most other games, there were probably excuse me, it was probably just like some encounters there was more priority in focusing on those rather than others.
Hmm.
Whereas this one, it's just like, no, everything was a priority. Like like if we're gonna make this game, we're gonna put our heart and soul into literally everything, and it definitely feels like that. Um, even at the parts where it's like, oh, there's nothing here. Well, you decide to go that way, and sometimes you don't get reward for it. Such is life. And I know, I know the main creator, Miyazaki, has gone on record saying that like, um, that he has heard the critical feedback about the games always having so much difficulty to them, and then he says, and then he says like, I wanted to emulate the feeling of difficulty that we experience in life and put that into a game. Um, and just and just make it so that like approaching the difficult situations that people have to um encounter in life uh feel a bit more easier by by emulating that same type of difficulty in his games, so that it's like, the thought process you put towards a Souls game, like hopefully you can take that same mentality and apply it to your life instead. Which I think is like that's an amazing mentality to put towards game design as well.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you can't always just go into an encounter in real life and hit redo if you fail.
yeah, exactly. Like there are some things you can't, take back or undo.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, there truly are just some only one shots. You got, but yeah, no, and I can understand. I can see that, and I can sort of appreciate that. But as opposed to everyone else or the other side of the coin saying, "Well, video games are only meant to help me escape from real world because the real world is hard enough as it is."
yeah, which is why I feel like I think this is why Souls games have been very successful because it offers a type of challenge that is not like the majority of games today. Um, like it really offers like a unique experience of just like overcoming odds in a video game perspective. Um, like it's not really just about combat. It's not about just the story. It's like everything to do with it. And I think the fact that and I think it's reinforced by the fact that it's like you're in charge of a nameless character who just find themselves in a world of strife, where it's like there's like despair and death like all around. um like you meet people who are in dire situations or are who are like who are dealing with um like hard circumstances that they've just had to live with. And some of them choose to be optimistic, but most of them choose to be pessimistic about it, and it's like such as life. But
Hmm.
I think what makes Elden Ring so much more special about it is just like, yeah, the world of Elden Ring is dire, and it's also hard to get around because there are things out there trying to kill you, but at the same time, it's like the world itself is beautiful to look at. Like, there were times where it's like, well, okay, there were times after making sure I was safe to do so. Like I just stopped and looked around me and just seeing like the landscapes that have been designed in it, and like it looks incredible, and the fact that um like they're all points that you can go to and discover as well, like fills me with like excitement and intrigue of like what am I going to find there, while at the same time I'm also just like I'm definitely afraid of what I'm going to find there, but at the same time I want to go there uh and see what I discover. And that's everything on the surface. And like I'm not even sure if I've reached even a halfway point because there's also stuff underground, and there's still parts of the map that I haven't like gotten to yet either. Like I thought I had maybe like 75%. I don't even know anymore. I think the game is still going for me. It's kind of crazy big.
Wow.
Like uh like um I was listening to another podcast, and the way they described it was like the game feels as big as Skyrim does, which is like when he said that, that felt daunting to me because of like the game. The game is still like this difficult, and it's just like there's so much to explore, and it's kind of crazy. And it's just like, oh my goodness, like I feel there's a lot of games where people say like if this is the game for the year I'd want to play, like this is it. Elden Ring is that game, like straight up. And I think even more probably. Like if you don't have as much time out of the day to like play games, like you only have a couple hours or something like that. I think this is that game to play because like it just keeps going, and I don't know when it stops either. It's kind of daunting, but at the same time, I'm also very happy with it. I'm enjoying my time with it, even though like I'm bashing my head against the wall a couple times against some pretty tough bosses. Uh, so okay, so what else about my experience with the game? So right now, I restarted a couple times because I had trouble finding an origin that I felt comfortable continuing. I ended up landing on Confessor, which is a hybrid faith and strength plus, I guess. It basically starts you off with a medium shield and a broadsword, and also two incantations, which are faith-based spells, uh, which was Assassin's Approach and Urgent Heal. Urgent Heal is pretty self-explanatory. Assassin's Approach, it doesn't cast stealth on me, but it does make my steps it does make my movement quiet. So
Okay.
like if I fall from somewhere or if I jump or if I walk, enemies will not hear me. Um so if I crouch, that means I'm double quiet, I guess. And since stealth
Nice.
properly works in this game compared to other Souls games, it's actually helpful. And I've been having more
Okay.
success with that, which is good. Um And as I mentioned before, the game is really big. The game is so big, I feel like there are some things that I just straight up missed because of how I explored. Um, like there are some NPCs or there are some characters from that initial trailer when they first announced the game that I have just not met yet, and I'm like, when do I get to meet them? And then I look online, going, hey, when do I get to meet that character? And it goes, oh, you have to do this. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do that." So I go back and try to do that, but then they don't show up. And now I'm like, "Oh, I think I lost my chance to meet that character."
No, I broke the game.
Yeah. So so yeah. But I mean like it's not that big of a deal because there's also new game plus in these games as well. So I guess like I can just catch them uh in another playthrough after I beat it once. Um So like if the FOMO hits me really bad, then I could just do that instead. So like I guess what I could do right now is just rush to the game and get all the main bosses that I need to beat out of the way, and then complete the game and then just go through it again and be more thorough this time. Or try to focus on other things. Uh let me think what else. Um I have mentioned before that I really don't like crafting. Uh Thankfully, this is probably one of the games where crafting is mitigated very easily. like you still do need to go around and pick up materials to craft items, but it's not it's not super necessary so far as far as I'm in. Although currently my skill level uh isn't too bad, I think. Like I'm level 50 right now. And I haven't had too much trouble so far. It's mostly just gotten back to like that initial part where it's like I'm kind of just new. I don't really understand how certain attacks work now. So it's more of just I'm back into that phase of just like needing to understand how enemies work and just trying to like learn their patterns and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. Um so I guess like I'm back on that soft cap. But I've never really felt like I've needed to use items yet. Although there are certain areas where that I haven't like fully explored yet, where I've needed that. Um, and thankfully, even though I guess there's like 5 poison swamps or something like that. Having a horse, uh, definitely helps with that because the horse doesn't take poison damage, and being on the horse means you don't take poison damage, which is great. Uh, I love the horse. I love Torrent. He's a good boy. Uh, he he double jumps around and doesn't afraid of anything as long as you're not dumb and just run straight into an enemy attack. Uh, getting around on the horse is really fun, honestly. Although dashing is kind of weird, it doesn't really work the way I thought it does. And what's also really interesting, and I didn't learn about this until I watched a video by Iron Pineapple about it, but so in Elden Ring, in the overworld, there are these uh wind springs, I think they're called, and basically, if you jump with torrent off of them, they just send you like sky high and get you to like other points of elevations. What I didn't realize is that you can actually jump down on them too. So they're essentially elevators for torrent specifically. So if you jump down uh, on top of the wind spring, it will actually cushion the fall, and you take no damage, and you can just keep going. Which is a great tip. If you didn't know that, you know that now, and you should use it to the fullest extent. It makes traveling around and exploring that much easier. And I think that's about it for exploring combat. Combat. There are some things I did not know going in. Like, I did not know you had a crouch attack. Uh, it's really good for pokes, actually, um, which is really nice. There's a difference between one-handing your sword and two-handing, or one-handing your weapon and two-handing your weapon,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
give different properties and benefits to that. Uh,
I think
but
that's been in other Souls games, I believe.
hmm, yeah, like there's stuff with like boys, and there's like some other hidden stat too called focus. I'm not sure what focus is, so I'm not going to talk about that. I just heard about that, and that's pretty much it. Um, like when I first heard about it, I believe the person who told me talked about it le- legit just said, "WTF is focus even?" I'm just like, yeah, that sounds accurate. But Yeah. I did find a katana, but I haven't really used it so far. I kind of had more fun with this holy sword I found, which has a buff on it. I found these faith-based katas, which are basically fists, and it's really funny because it's like I'm basically punching, but they make this like bell jingle sound, so it's like ching ching ching. It's super funky. Like it only does holy damage, but it's been pretty good so far. And they weigh nothing, so it's like, hey, free weapon for me, which is great. I can't really think of much else. Do you have any questions for me about Elden Ring?
There's this, there's this. Well, there were a couple of TikToks going around where I saw players interacting with a fellow that just magically turns into a bear, or it looked more like a honey badger to me. Have you encountered this person?
I have not. Of
I find it interesting. It's just out in they're just out in the wild.
Yeah, there are people like that. I did find one guy who was mimicking a giant pot, which was pretty weird. Uh,
Just
it, it,
sitting
it
there. Or,
was it was less funny when he immediately died after talking to him. Uh,
oh,
but
oh, that's sad.
that was still a weird experience. Uh, I found a tortoise priest.
A
Um,
tortoise priest.
in charge of a
Oh,
in
like
charge of a wedding
oh turtle.
chapel, no less. Uh, literally literally ordained two of the people who I think I have to kill, which is a little weird. I haven't told him about that yet. I hope he's okay with that, but
How did they keep that part out?
uh, but yeah, aside from him being a giant tortoise and wearing a cute little Pope hat, he's actually a pretty chill guy. He's like, "Hey man, welcome to my church. Sorry it's in a poor state. It's literally reduced to rubble. Like there's not even a roof or anything like that."
Excuse the mess.
Yeah. Yeah, literally that's what he said, like part of the mess.
My gosh.
But by the way, yeah, I know I'm in charge of a church, but I have some sorceries and incantations if you want to learn them. And I'm like kind of weird that you know sorceries, but like yeah, no, it's cool. Like whatever's more knowledge for us is uh helps strengthen our faith, you know? It's like, all
Yeah.
right, cool.
Sounds like a smart
I,
guy.
I I guess
And
he was part of the Protestant side of that whatever schism happened in that world. So um,
and all of this is just tremendous backstory
or
for the final boss.
he's actually a heretic and I just don't know it yet.
I don't know. I mean, depending on what you just told me, yeah, it could go
The
either
thing
way at
is
this
that's
point.
entirely possible and I just don't know it yet. That's the problem. Uh I met I met the big pot boy, Alexander. He's a good lad. Um he's like oh yes, I've studied the School of War and I'm off on a study tour and like
Study tour.
okay, cool.
Cool.
And
Pilgrimage through Elden Ring.
yeah, a giant pot man. And I'm like it's just so much to take in because like I'm talking to a living pot who lives and breathes and somehow has combat skills, is studying combat and is also on a tour of said study of combat. And then he go and like on top of all that, he goes, by the way, the place I'm traveling to next is holding a combat festival. would you like to join me in said combat festival? And I'm like, cool, where's it at? And it's like, oh, it's over here in like this over in the east, which I think is like suffering from some severe blood rot within the whole land. But you know, combat festival could be fun. Come check it out. I was like, okay, I guess I will.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. That's like adult cartoon like levels of like dark humor.
yeah, just yeah. I mean, like it's fantastically weird. Uh, and like it basically just opens up to just like to have no expectations of what you're gonna find in here. Like, there's gonna be some basic fantasy tropes, and then there's just gonna be some things that are like, I have no understanding of what's happening here. Uh, I mean, like, there's a magic town I came across where there are just like I don't know how else to describe what I found there, but just aliens that can cast magic. There are magic casting aliens. I like in a swamp, and I'm like, I don't know what to make of this. I like, are they aliens or not? And I haven't found an explanation for it yet. Uh, there's a magic school where all the people wear what I can only describe as Mount Rushmore heads. Uh, but it's just they're just giant stone masks, and I'm like, I don't know what to make of this. I'm like, I don't, and it's not like they're like JoJo stone masks, like they're Aztec blood masks or something. It just looks like clean stone masks from like Greek sculptures or whatever. And I don't know. It's weird. I fought a wolf at that Magic Academy too. I don't know if the wolf was a teacher there or something.
In
It's
academic affairs.
yeah. The point being, Elden Ring is fantastically odd. It's just it's just there's so much going on, and like
I'm even more intrigued
yeah,
because it just sounds like a romp through like I don't know, uh like the Labyrinth or the Neverending Story.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that old style of fantasy movie or literature
yeah.
where
Like it's that type of fantasy where it's just like things are
it's just there
bizarre.
for fantasy's sake.
Yeah,
That sounds great though.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to talk about because it's just me going like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then I found this guy, and then I found this girl, and then I found, and then I came across this weird thing, and like, oh, and then I found this weapon, and it like it just goes on and on, like it never stops again. Like,
I got you. Well, I think I might be able to quickly figure out how to highlight some of the best points, but not have you like uh, just basically rant the whole thing. So I'll just ask a series of questions.
okay.
So, uh, what? How was the fastest time you died? What was the quickest death?
Oh, you mean like time to death? Time to first
Like,
death, rather?
no, no, like one hit kill or surprise death or from your heart where
Um,
your health was at max and then it was at zero.
the problem is there have been a couple, and it's because they were actual bosses just in the overworld. Um, I think there was one boss I tried that was in like a specific location,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just went in just to be like, okay, let's see what I can learn, and then what was it? I think. Oh, I think it was one that I beat recently where it was just like it was called a flame worm, but it also had like a giant saw sword in its hand. And I think it just swung at me and I just died. And I was like, great, I learned a lot from that encounter. Because I think I tried to dodge it in time, but I think I just missed the timing on the spacing and it just clipped me. And I was just like, okay, I guess I just need more defense or health or something. I'll come back to that later.
Just leave it going.
Yeah.
Huh.
Uh, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too. Is like because it's also open world. There will be times where you just run into an enemy and you just die immediately, and you're not sure what happened either. And other times it's just like you're slowly dying, but you think you're okay, but you're actually not, and you just didn't realize it. And it's just like there was one time where I think I was taking poison damage and I was like, "Oh, you know what? It's fine. I have some potions. I can take down this enemy and heal myself and the poison will just run out." That was my first mistake, thinking the poison would run out. Uh the second mistake was just trying to continue the fight. The third mistake was thinking I could last with 5 potions. Um
Mm, mm,
the fourth mistake was just considering that option at all. Uh but
That'll do it.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of those things where it's like the moments you realize you made a mistake hit you at different times, and sometimes it's not immediate either. It's just you could well be into an encounter or a fight and think you got it, and then just realize no, I don't got this, and it's too late to go back either. So, uh, but other times it like sometimes you just hit a stride where you're just like you die immediately, but you realize, no, you know what? I can take this boss, and then you just go and do it, and it takes you a few tries, but you clear it pretty quickly. I guess that's the other thing too is like not every death feels devastating. Sometimes it's just like you made a mistake here or there, and it's like, no, you know what? I can do this. I just gotta watch out for this and this and this. And just like keep myself steady. Like don't panic. I think that's the biggest thing is just to not panic. Like some caution is required, but at the same time, it's you just gotta take a chance, uh, and hope it works. Like don't take risks, take chances. Basically, uh, it is my best word of advice, I suppose.
hmm
Um, I know I know it sounds a little vague describing it like that, but believe me, there are differences between taking risks and taking chances. Um, uh, anything else?
Yeah. So, haven't heard much about the story yet because we know that a famous author has been helping out with it. So, just
Mhm.
how much, how much do you know? Has George R. Martin played with the story, and how much else other input has he put in? Like, did he have like creative input with like weapons and descriptions, or I'm sure the turtle pope was his idea. I'm convinced. Uh, but how is the story so far?
So I'm actually not very familiar with his writing. So in
Well,
terms of what sounds similar to his writing, I can't really say. Um, I will say I will say with like with people I've met and some item descriptions I've seen, it does feel like there's more direction, if that makes sense. Like Bloodborne is infamously known for having like a really good background, but not divulging enough information to make sense of the story itself. I will say in this degree, I will say to the degree of what I know so far in Elden Ring, I can't really say I know a whole lot about the main narrative aside from uh there is the gods of two fingers, and they're charging people, and they're charging a group, the Tarnished, to find to find great runes and then take them to the Elden Ring, or to reform the Elden Ring.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know where the Elden Ring is, or if it's even somewhere I can find right now. Um, but other than that, it does feel like there are a lot of players intertwined with each other. Everyone has a place to go, essentially. Um, like so for example, there's a hub area, and that hub area, when I first went there, um had one, two, five, six. I believe six people at the start. Um, three have arrived. Three have since migrated over there, and now one, three, four, five have left. Um, and now they're out in the world somewhere. So, so currently there are only four people out of the only four people at that hub area, and they are not all who were originally there in the first place. Like only half of them were originally there, and the other two are essentially visitors who has decided to stay there. Um,
Huh.
yeah, so like like not only is the world big, but the people are coming and going within that world too, and it's
Wow.
kind of like up to you to discover where they are within that world as well.
Hmm.
Hence why I feel like I've missed a lot of people too. So that's very unfortunate. But at the same time, it does feel like the world itself is very active. Um, like the world feels like it's a living thing almost as
Yeah.
well. So
Sounds way less dead than the other games.
yeah, like even more than Skyrim, I would say,
Wow.
which is probably one of the more open world games that I would call truly open world. Um, like it feels more alive than that game did. Um, like it's like I said, it's kind of nuts, and it still hasn't stopped. Like I'm still finding things, which is crazy. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Let me see here. Let me think of one more question.
yeah.
And don't want to do anything like cheesy like your what's your favorite locale? Um uh okay. Um well, barring your turtle pope friend,
Okay.
what's the weirdest location you've seen so far, other than everything you told me?
Ooh. Um. Okay, let me think because this is gonna be hard because while there are some weird locales, there are also some very creepy locales as well. So, for example, um, okay. Let me talk about one particular experience. Hang on 1 second.
All right.
Just need to readjust myself. So there was one ruin that I was looking around in, and then um, there was an unlockable lower cellar that I could go into. So I went down there and I cleared it out, and then there was a treasure chest. So then I opened the treasure chest, uh, but what I found was not an item, but a mist that teleported me. And it teleported me into a crystal mine, which, when I looked at the map, teleported me way further than I was expecting even. In fact, it basically took me into another part of a map altogether. Uh and that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was inside that crystal mine were these really creepy squid-looking dudes, and also they could cast magic, or sorry, they could cast sorceries that hurt a lot, and I had to get out of there like really quickly. Um and I kept finding little messages going, "I want to go home." And I was like, "I'm right there with you cuz I do not like it here." Uh but in terms of like weirdest locales, I I don't know because of the ones that I can think of, they're all very weird in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so for example, I found a giant ant nest underground. That's one. Um, and since insects are genetically disgusting to look at, it's very hard to stomach video
Legit.
game areas with giant insects or bugs in general. Um, although now I feel like I feel like it's been easier to handle spiders for me in video games recently. But anyway, that's besides the point. Um, so that was one. Another one was an underground area, which I thought was just an underground lake basin, but then it kind of just turned into a floating set of islands into what just looked like the void. Uh, and I was
Ooh.
like, I am underground, right? Like, I'm not on another planet or in space. I couldn't tell was the problem. Uh, and then another one was uh, I found a small little village where people were just dancing and they were happy, and that was by far one of the more stranger things to find. Just a number of people happy in the same location. Like that was probably the
Right.
strangest thing to see, honestly.
Like too many happy people for a Soulsborne game.
Yeah, happy
And
and
all of them
dancing.
combined.
That was the main thing. Although you know what, thinking about it now, probably what was the weirdest one was this manor I found. Uh, and not just because the manor was weird. It was just kind of creepy and had a lot of mist around, and that's about it. It was just that like the enemies I found inside it, I can't really describe it as anything else other than like it's full of pairs of hands intertwined with each other crawling around. Like, okay,
Huh.
I'm gonna try my best to emulate it, but think of it as just like hands that have like too many fingers, and they're just walking around like this.
Oh
And
wow.
then, and if that wasn't bad enough, there are also giant versions of that can also cast magic. And one of them is just like it lifts its middle finger with a ring on it. It's not flipping me off, just to make that clear. Uh, and then it fires a spell that paralyzes me, and I can't move for several seconds. And that's when I'm most terrified of them.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, okay. And the name of that manor is the Carrion Manor, and you know what? I'm gonna give that one the weirdest place I've been to so far. Uh,
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
just how disturbed I was, just seeing
Disembodied
larger than
hands.
normal hands, where there were too many fingers on said hands.
Ugh. Yeah,
Uh,
that sounds creepy.
yeah, it was visually disturbing to look at. It took me a while. Strangely enough, that was also where I found the Sword of Night and Flame. So I guess fair enough.
Yeah.
And good on me for
But
conquering my visual fears to get such a good weapon. So
yeah,
yeah,
you could say you got your hands on it. And that's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. I think we're gonna call it there. Anyway, Elden Ring is great. I'm still playing it. I will continue to play it.
Yeah, the
I
FOMO's real.
yeah. Uh, for real on this one, honestly.
Are you playing it on PS4?
I'm playing on PC. Oh, quick note. The the PC port is borked. Um, it has some serious performance issues. Hopefully, they will update that with a patch very soon. Yeah, it's got some pretty bad frame drops and some performance issues. It's crashed on me once so far. Uh, I've been hearing periodic crashes for a lot of other people. Some people it works great. Other people it's kind of bad. Not to the point of unplayable, but to a point where it's like it's a significant distraction. Um, so if you're playing this and you're not sure where to get it, currently if you do have it, I would highly recommend playing the PS5 version or the Xbox Series X version. Um, PS4 is probably okay, but it's at a locked 30. So that's pretty much um the major downgrade you're taking on that. Uh PC port, if that's the only one you can get it on, I would highly suggest considering waiting for the next patch to be released for it, if they ever come out with it. They have released a couple so far, but not enough to mitigate everything yet. But with that, that's going to be it. If you can play Elden Ring, this is an absolute
Mm.
must, I would say. Uh,
Yosh.
and with that, have a good one, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. And praise the Elden Ring. No, not really.